When you're making millions, the IRS is watching. And if you're famous, they may watch more closely. Famous people aren't untouchable, and in a lot of cases, they get really bad tax advice. Let's take Wesley Snipes, for example. He didn't file his federal tax returns for 3 years, 1999 to 2001, and he owed over $7 million in back taxes. Fast forward to 2008, he was convicted by a jury in a criminal court of 3 counts of willful failure to file. He was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison. He ended up spending a little bit less time than that in jail, but he actually still had to pay all of those taxes, plus penalties, plus interest. In his defense, he claimed he was never legally required to pay based on this sort of fringe tax protester theory. And of course, the court and the jury didn't buy it. Interestingly, with Wesley Snipes, he became pretty famous for this position, and as we meet with other accountants and interview other accountants and lawyers to come and work with us, a lot of new accountants and lawyers at the IRS get assigned cases like this. And they're really challenging cases for these folks because there's so little basis for the taxpayer's argument that they don't owe that it really becomes kind of messy resolving them. But the reality is, in every instance, the IRS ends up winning these cases because despite the fringe theories out there on the internet, we do legally have to pay income taxes. Up next, we have Nicolas Cage. He's earned over $150 million in his career. In 2009, the IRS slapped him with a $6 million lien for unpaid taxes. And he just blamed his financial manager for mismanagement. And he sued his manager for fraud and negligence, but of course wasn't able to recover that money. So the lesson is with the IRS, they don't care whose fault it is. It's your name on your return, so it's your responsibility. Or how about the story of Todd and Julie Chrisley? In 2022, they were convicted of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, wire fraud, and of course tax evasion. They didn't file their tax returns or pay taxes for 4 straight years, 2013 to 2016. Todd ended up spending 12 years in prison for this. Julie was sentenced to 7. And the irony is they had a TV show about being rich, which of course it's a lot easier to appear rich when you aren't paying your taxes. And what happened was this wasn't an accident, it was a pattern that the feds could prove pretty easily. And while this is another instance of a big name celebrity not paying taxes, the same thing happens to normal people all the time. Either they don't listen to their preparer's advice, or they get bad advice, or they just don't believe they have an obligation to file and pay their taxes. The IRS wins more than 90% of the time when they take these cases to trial. So if they come for you, it may be too late to do anything, which is why we think planning and proper documentation is so important. So we make sure that our clients move within the tax code to do things legally and proactively while still finding ways to minimize their taxes. So make sure you like and subscribe for part 2, because we're going to break down tax issues in the music industry, and trust me, the stories only get worse.